Welcome to the Unearthed Man podcast, the journey of becoming a conscious man, hosted by Milvo. Hey all, Milvo here, and welcome to episode 22 of the Unearthed Man podcast. I'd like to kick off by thanking everyone who has provided feedback over the last few weeks. It's great to hear that listeners are getting something out of the great stories being told by the amazing men who have shown the courage to open up. On that point, how good was the conversation with Jay Godfrey last week? His willingness to be open and vulnerable, and at times in tears, was something I won't forget. If this is your first time listening and you're looking to find out more about the Unearthed Man, then head over to LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. If you're a long-time listener, then I really appreciate your support. Now let's get into today's episode. I first met my guest at Unleash the Beast in Brisbane around this time last year, and we shared some very special moments together. He has a huge passion about helping others learn about health and nutrition and runs a number of online programs. The transformation in his clients is amazing. I love his approach to his video stories as he adds great humor and simplicity in his message. I've absolutely loved interacting with him over the past 12 months and have immensely enjoyed watching him and his business grow every day. I'm really looking forward to this conversation, and I'm not sure where it will go, so buckle yourselves in. Welcome to the Unearthed Man podcast, Coach Phil Gerard. Hey, Phil.
Milvo, how you going, mate? Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good intro, man. Did you research?
Oh, yeah, mate. It's one thing I like to do is just research my guests here and there as we go along. The one thing I've loved about doing this podcast is rejoining back in with men, so some of the men that I've met previously, and there's a number of men that I've actually just met via, Instagram or Facebook, but never face to face and chatted. So for me, this just becomes a beautiful opportunity to have a chat. So, mate, how is life over in beautiful Adelaide going for you?
Yeah, look, it's not too bad. We've been pretty lucky with the whole COVID thing. Like, we haven't really been massively affected. It happened a little bit sort of mid-year, but other than that, it's pretty much back to normal. Dance floors still don't exist for us, but other than that, we can go to the pub and have a beer.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. It's I know we're recording this before Magical Dan comes out and actually gives whatever announcements we're going to do. But yeah, I don't think I'll be strutting on the dance floor for a while. It's any dance club soon lately.
You just dance in the kitchen with your wife anyway, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it's all about, man. Yeah, exactly. So let's take a little bit of a step back. As I said in the intro, you and I met. It's probably just under 12 months ago. And funny enough, and not to be taken the wrong way, but a lot of our actual meeting there's a lot of eye to eye, just looking at each other, because there was a very challenging exercise that we started with Unleash the Beast. But I think that set the scene for what the rest of the weekend was going to be about. And for me, it set the scene as to, learning how to honestly look a man in the eye and see him for all his vulnerability and not be judged by any of the shit that might have taken place in our lives. Your thoughts on the starting journey?
Yeah, so obviously, there's about 50 of us there, and I think we've all got that connection now, like forever, I suppose. But some of us would have had or developed probably I'd say better connections, just through just natural, right? Like, you're always going to be drawn to someone more so than someone else. And we definitely locked eyes a few times, and there was a few others where, like, you just had this, you just built this relationship between each other. And it was something that I would never have thought that I would ever do. If I was 20 years old and someone said that I'd go do something like that, I'd be like, fuck off, mate. Like, unbelievable. And then, and my life just sort of just led me to that moment. And like, I heard about it on the Wednesday.
Okay.
And I booked the flight. I spoke to Glenn and I booked the flight after that call and got the ticket. And I was there. Well, that Friday or Saturday, I think it was. Yeah. So it was just like instant, like, and from there, man, like, the connections that you build is crazy. I still talk to some of the guys in our little group that we had, and just checking in, seeing how they're doing. And it's really good to watch everyone sort of grow. Like, Dara's doing his own thing now, which is great. Glenn's obviously, he was one of the coaches there, and he's still pushing through, doing his thing. And it's awesome, man.
So let's go back on that. So it sounds like you knew Glenn before Unleash. I mean, I met Glenn there because he's one of the coaches, but you sort of said you spoke to Glenn before. Is that just because you'd heard about it and found out he was a coach, or?
Yeah, so well, he's an Adelaide boy as well.
Yep.
I'd met him a handful of years ago through another guy at some business thing years back, and
Yep.
I hadn't really had much to do with him, but I'm closer with one of his like best mates.
Okay.
And I reached out to him, like this other guy, Mikkel, reached out to him in Bali and was like, man, I was struggling at the time. I need some assistance, want some help. I was talking about ayahuasca and all that sort of stuff. And he's like, I'll speak to Glenn. He sort of like knows a bit more about this kind of thing than me, about like touching on anxiety and stuff. And yeah, I just hit up Glenn on Facebook and we organised a time to jump on a video call. And yeah, 30 minutes later, I'd booked my flight to Brisbane and bought my ticket. And yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, it's amazing how we ended up in there because I didn't know anything about it, but my wife was doing the Bridge Experience and Extreme Leadership with Preston and Alexi on the 2 weekends before that. And we were flying up to Brisbane. So we did 2 weekends in a row. And it was somewhere in between that, we just jumped on and I was like, oh, fuck, Preston's actually running this guys session. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I'm in. We're going back for the 3rd weekend. I'm like, sign me up. Like, I just knew there's all this shit just had to come out, and you build it up for so long and you knew the timing was right. And it's one of those things that 50 guys called in at the same time to land in the same space. And a number of those guys have been on the podcast. Steve Capps recently had on here, and he's absolutely flying as well in his bodybuilding business and everything else. So it's been pretty awesome. So leading into that, from memory, you had started your online coaching, or you were at least training to be a coach from memory. There was I remember you sort of saying, that you're on the verge of finishing whether it be a uni course or some sort of course to be a coach, and you're working out what you're going to do in the next few months and so forth. Was that the plan always to head into coaching?
Yeah, so I'm an electrician by trade, and I did that for about 10 years. And then for the last couple of years, I was working up in the mines, and I was like, I do not want to do this for much longer. I don't want to do it for when I'm 50 or whatever it is. And I didn't want to go back to the city and be a sparky either. I was like, nah, this isn't for me. So I made the decision when I was up there to study personal training and coaching and nutrition coaching and performance training coaching and that sort of stuff. So I found a guy on Instagram out of nowhere just before even that sort of crossed my mind, just to get coaching myself.
Yep. And
I asked him about where to go about it, where he studied and all this sort of stuff. And he sent me somewhere on, it's called Clean Health Fitness Institute. So I just jumped on with them and paid the money. And it was like pretty reluctant at first because like it's fair whack, like straight up. You're like, oh, I don't know if I want to make this career change. And you're just like, because obviously you're on a pretty good wicket, like in the mines, like you making okay coin to study and then start from the bottom. So I was like, oh, do I really want to do this? And I made the decision and then studied whilst I was like off on my R&R. And then I would do a lot of shadowing as well. So I found some personal trainers and coaches around Adelaide. I even went down to Tasmania for a bit and shadowed some guys down there and I had a few mentors, Melbourne, Sydney, that sort of thing as well, whilst I was studying, just to try and fast track the knowledge. And obviously because it's a passion, it doesn't really feel like you're working, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So by the time I'd gotten to CMB that weekend, I'd finished Cert 3, but not quite Cert 4. And the question was posed to me, why don't you start your business now? What are you waiting for? Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? And then obviously like Preston used me as an example and was saying that you could do this, 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 and this. And I was like, right, okay. So literally that Sunday night was the end of the weekend.
Yep.
Like I didn't sleep that night. I didn't have my laptop. I was on my phone. I created a company that night. I was like, I'm doing this. Like, felt light as I've ever felt in years from obviously that weekend.
Yeah.
unpacking so much stuff, man. And then, like I was just sitting up in my bed and just, setting up this company. And I'll tell you what, it cost me about $1,500-$1,600 to restructure it because I fucked it up. But you get that, like
You do.
I'm just excited, let's get it going, right? And what's that? $1,500 in the future is not going to be much, right? Like,
correct. That's right. Yeah. So what Phil's missed over there, and I'm going to go back. We're getting towards the end of Sunday, and he's right. He got called out by Preston, going, "What the fuck are you waiting for, man?" And he's like, "Well, I got to get my insurances, and I got to get." There's this big debate over limited liabilities or some shit that's taken place, right. And whether I'd be fucking sued or not. And, like, there's stuff going on left, right, center, and it was weird that all these guys in the industry, this massive debate kicks in, and Preston goes, "Just fucking start, like, just get on with it." And next thing, Phil just jumps up out of nowhere. There's like this energy bolted in. And he jumped up and goes, "Fuck it. I'm starting it right now. And Preston, you're my first client." And Preston's like, "You're on." And we're like, "Hey, up and going." So, hey, no turning back from that point.
Mate, like, I don't know. I was gearing myself up, or we'd just done another like meditation type thing. I think Sam took it. And so like, we're just like amping ourselves up to like really envision what our future is going to be and what our goals are and what we're trying to achieve. Right. So like my emotions were already like pretty high, and I was just sitting there, my leg was going 100 miles an hour, just like, but Preston had taken over and started talking, and I was just like waiting for it. I'm just like gearing myself up in the head. I'm just like, "Come on, do it." I just got up and just blurted it out. And yeah, man, I think I might have frightened him a little bit. I was pretty over the top.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Phil, 6'6". Yeah. So Phil's not a small guy, right? 6'6" guy just jump up and go, "Fuck yeah, I'm in. You're my client."
I signed my first client under duress, but that's all right. The other ones are free coming,
Exactly. And then get home that night and let's create a business. All right, so let's roll back a little bit, maybe before I unleash. So you did touch on the fact that, you reached out to Glenn, there's a bit of anxiety, a few things sort of happening in your life. So where were you at? Like, minds can be tough. We can get lonely as guys. We don't reach out and we don't sort of share. So, where were you at and what was life looking like for you?
Yeah, good question. So it just ticked over about 2 years working away. So I did some long swings. Towards the last year, I was on a 2-on-1 roster, like 2 weeks on, 1 week off. It wasn't too bad, but I was at a point where it was getting too much in that. Well, I started seeing someone, and I was seeing her for a few months or a couple of months, whatever it may have been, and just working away and having like the, I guess, relationship at the time just made it a lot more challenging for me, because I was always single up there, and it was a bit like a different sort of lifestyle, or you had a different mindset, because it was all just like, work and fun, right? Yeah. But then when you sort of build a connection with someone and you're interested in them, you obviously want to spend as much time with them as possible, and then you're going to go away, and that was sort of slipping away from me, and I was freaking out a bit, and it was just sort of encapsulating my mind all the time. And I was like, you know what, like, this isn't worth it. I need to go home and sort myself out and like dig deeper into why I feel like this and what's going on. And I reached out to Glenn, and then, we sort of, obviously, the story, I went up to CMB, and things ended with that person literally the Friday before I flew up.
Okay.
Like, probably the best time to go and do a men's workshop is right after that. and it did. And then after that, I was just like, took everything in my stride, and it was all sweet. Like, there was no issues. And I just carried on with my life and started the business and just like focused on my purpose. And don't get me wrong, I still get anxiety to this day, but you just got coping mechanisms and whatever it may be. I see a psychologist now as well. And I went and did some more breath work. Throughout the year, just one-on-one, which is really, really cool. But I mean, there's a lot of different strategies and tools that you can use for it. But you got to just try and find what's good for you,
Yeah, and I think the key for me is there's no shame in having the conversations. Like, I think a few of us probably leading up to doing any of these sort of courses, feel that we've got to be the rock, we've got to be the foundation, we have to work through it, whether it be, up in the mines where, there is a perception that, men are men and it's all about being tough and, a lot of probably escapism, drugs, alcohol, different things to distract us, from probably leading into ourselves and finding what's there and then actually telling someone else, hey, mate, I'm really, really struggling. Because I noticed a few times where we did, after that, you and I went on, did King's Court, which was like an eight week after that. And there's a few times that I know that you leaned into us after that to say, hey, dudes, I'm just not quite there. I'm really struggling a bit. And, and it was good. I felt the fact of what I took out of that, the fact that you would drop in on our Marco Polo and say, hey, guys, I'm really needing some support here, was really inspirational because that empowered the rest of us, because by you doing that and empowered the rest of us go, we can all do the same thing. And I think we just need to be in a position to create more of that space for men as we move forward.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I felt very comfortable within our group, and we created that bond through CMB weekend. And then obviously the King's Court, we got even closer, and every Monday we'd meet up and do the video calls, and we'd pretty much chat every single day. And I mean, there was probably a solid 5 people, I guess, maybe, that were like into it a lot. Yep. And then there was a few strugglers, whether it be from work or wherever it may be, or other things that they had on that they couldn't really get to. And yeah, I just used that opportunity. I was in there for a reason. And yeah, I had some moments where you get sort of pulled away from your goals and what you're aligned to. And I think like the celebratory side of things from me leaving the mines and starting my own thing, and just going back to old habits and taking over and just partying again, sort of, it's as fun as it may be. It's not really what I want to, like, where I want to end up and where I want to keep going. And I just pulled myself back and was just like, you know what, let's open up to the group and get the support that's there and needed. And I definitely got that. But then at the end, I definitely fell away from King's Court. And I think the last few weeks I didn't even rock up. Not to say that I was out partying or whatnot. I wasn't. I was like just knuckling down, doing my thing. And I probably felt that I got enough out of the group, as selfish as that sounds, because I wasn't there to support the other guys through the rest of it. But yeah, that's just sort of where I was at. And I was kind of just tired of it, to be honest. That's just as honest as it could be. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool because we'll end up in our same spaces, and there's no judgments about who's there or who's not there. It's I think every person takes out of it what they need to be able to get out to continue to move forward. I know for me that 8 weeks plus the following 4 months of then doing Warriors Way set me up to do what I'm doing now. I strongly believe that, I wouldn't be pumping out all these podcasts and, have the confidence to write my own memes and my own things and, and everything else without having done that, because you start to, you move away from all those fears and, what are people going to think about me and, and everything else, for me, the biggest one's that imposter syndrome. Well, who the fuck am I to actually put up a graphic with a meme and then write, 4 paragraphs against it? Like, people go, well, fuck off. Like, what would you know? And constantly reminding yourself that, fuck it, there is a bit of wisdom in this old body now. And, why would I not share it out there? So
exactly, man. Imposter syndrome is huge, bro. Like, that's probably the biggest thing. And when I first started, like, I've still got in my About Me, like, you do the highlights under your Instagram. I've got like my About Me from like December, man. And like, it is so shit. I'm like, I might update it, but you know what? I don't really want to. Like, I just wanted to see like how raw and how like nervous and sort of excited I was at the beginning. And I don't really want to lose that. So I kind of just leave it there, even though it wasn't the best video of like what I was starting to do in my new like business and that kind of thing. So like, and then I can look back on that and go, you know what, like that's where I started. This is where I'm at now. I still, sometimes get imposter syndrome or you get worried about what you post. But these days, man, like I'm posting bloody photos of me with a Santa fucking mankini on, like Who gives a fuck, Like, at the end of the day, if you post something on Instagram and you're posting every single day, in a week's time, it's not even on the screen.
Yes.
If you're posting 3 times a day, it's fucking gone within like 3 days or 2 days, Like, you don't see it unless someone actively goes onto your account and goes back. So
Yes.
if you post something and it's wrong, or you feel like you made a mistake with it, and you might feel a bit embarrassed, or something might come up for you, who cares? Like, it's going to go. Like, it might, all right, I say it's going to go. It's going to be on the internet forever. You've done that. Like, bad luck. But unless someone actively goes through your feed, like, how often do you scroll someone's feed? Really? Like, it's
true.
pretty rare.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Like, just get what you get out there. If you make a mistake and someone calls you out on it, it's a learning experience. And that's what I've found hard, because as a coach, there's so many different opinions and what's right, what's wrong around like health and nutrition and training and that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, if I get something wrong, you kind of like, well, how can someone trust me? But if I actually get something wrong, I feel like that builds trust, because people will be like, oh, he's actually being real, and like he owns up to it. He goes, oh, I got that wrong, like, and he'll just learn from it, so then they can do the same thing. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake, if you fuck up, if you don't go to the gym today, you decided to overeat your calories, wherever it may be, you just, okay, I made a mistake, own it and move on.
Yeah. And for me, that's where the genuineness comes in. The coaches, the ones who always say, I'm on a journey with you, right? And so you go through your journey, and if I fuck up, I'm going to turn around and say, sorry, I fucked up. I made a mistake, right? But this is what I've learned from it, and I move forward. And I think you're spot on. That genuineness actually, really comes through. On some of the messages that you actually put out there. Sorry, I want to go back on the imposter syndrome, because when we're back in the King's Court, I think there was a point where, you come out of the high of the C&B stuff, like you're ready to go, you're going to smash this thing. And you could see that starting to kick. There was a point where that was kicking in, going, whoa, what have I done here? Like, and I think you might have headed back out to from memory, you got back on the tools at some point in time. And I think.
So I had, because I obviously had the anxiety issues when I was away, and the mental health was I was in a bit of trouble. So like, I was really, really lucky and fortunate that I reached out to my superintendent, because I couldn't sleep one night, and I was up at midnight. I was on the phone to my old man crying. We had a full conversation, and it was intense.
Yeah.
And I got about 4 or 5 hours, not even 4 hours sleep maybe. And you booked in for another 12-hour day, right? And you just wrecked. And then I woke up obviously exhausted, and the less sleep you get, more chance you're going to be anxious again, right? So I woke up, and then it was just like, I can't go to work today. So I called my superintendent and was telling him I was going to have the day off. And man, I just started bawling again. And he's like, where are you? And he came and got me from my donga, and we went for a drive to Andamuka and I had the day off. And he was really supportive about it. And my other boss said, look, take the time off. You've still got a job. Take the 6 weeks till the new year if you want to. Let me know when you come back, sort of thing. Like, if you're going to come back on your normal swing. And then obviously did CMB and was just like, you know what? I messaged him and said, I'm not going back. And funny enough, well, not so funny, because the next day someone got injured within the company, not in our division, but whatever it was. And that was enough to kick everyone off site. So we lost our jobs anyway.
Oh, right.
I didn't really, I said, I wasn't going back. Then our job was gone. So it's just well, that's the universe saying, you're doing what you're doing. This is it, mate. I was like, all right. So I probably did a few cash jobs. You might have seen me just posting some stories on there with that, but I've never gone back to being an electrician for a company since I left. So I definitely did lull. So you get that high from CMB. Obviously you're going to have some sort of high from unpacking all this trauma and feeling really good about yourself, and then starting the business, and you're like, yeah, here we go. And you start it, you're like, fuck, what have I done? There's so much work to do. But that's just being new and realizing that how real you've just made your life. And you're like, fuck, I got to actually do some shit here. And now I sit back and go, the whole thing's a journey. And I've got so much sort of stuff on my plate at the moment. And if I had this on my plate from day dot, I'd be like, oh, I can't do this. This is too much. But now it's you know what? I'm just like doing my thing. The whole, like, you pull yourself back and you go, this is the whole process that you're going through in this journey that you're like going through now. That's life. And it's cliche, or like whatever you want to call it as that sounds. If you can understand that, your life gets ultimately better, because no matter what happens each day, you're just like, fuck, this is it. Like, I get to wake up. If I want to go work at a cafe, I can go work at a cafe. You know, like, this is what I've created for myself. Like, it's really, really cool. Don't get me wrong, it is stressful, but like, yeah, you definitely feel the pinch sometimes. But once you sort of get used to it, you know what's going on, and you just go, yeah, this is the roller coaster of life, right?
So what and it's a really good point. So what are some of the coping mechanisms? Because you're right, there's a point where it can become or feel overwhelming, or the stress can start to kick in. What do you do when that starts to kick in for you? Like, what do you then do to remind yourself to say, well, hang on, this is life, and I'm still alive, and yeah, everything's going to be okay.
About 7 cups of coffee in 24 hours behind the computer. No, not quite. I've done some long days, not quite that long. Look, like yesterday was one of those days. I built a spreadsheet for clients, and then I sent it to one of them and it didn't work. And I was like, oh, fuck this up. I'm like, I can get this going. And I had to fix this whole thing. And like, I was like, oh my God. And yeah, I was just like working behind the computer all day. You know what? Go for a walk. That was it. It was just like, got to 4:30 and I was like, you know, shut the computer. Didn't even take my phone or anything. Just walk for a bit, get some steps in, because I'd done nothing all day.
Yep.
Yeah, just went down to the river near my house, and just went for a bit, probably like an hour and 10 minutes. And then I went back to the computer when I got home and started again and got it all done, you know. So it's just, yeah, you can keep throwing the kitchen sink at it, but you also need to like just pull yourself back. And look, you can go and go and go if you need to, which I do sometimes, but it's not worth it, man. Honestly, like, I'd rather get something out a week later than that night, if it means that I'm not going to be as stressed or anxious going forward, you know. And like, it's like, I get that leniency with working for myself, and I know, like, I can sort of push the envelope and know when I have to release stuff, but I still have deadlines. I mean, and you've got to work towards them. But yeah, it's just being able to manage that. I do a fair bit of breathing exercises as well in the morning and before bed, if I'm disciplined enough to continue doing them. But yeah, other than that, that's basically it for me. If there's any other magic tips you've got, mate, let me know, because I'll start them.
No, but I think, you know, the first thing for me is that how often have I put a self-imposed deadline in that no one else gives a fuck about? But now I'm stressing over something that I said I was going to do, that I've committed to myself, that no one else actually set for me. And then just when you can break that down, go, what the fuck am I doing? Like, my boss, no one else set this really for me. Like, you know, like there's a bit of OCD in me that still sits there. So like, I'm like, fuck, I've got to get out this, you know, this meme by 7:30 a.m. every Tuesday, because that's what I do. And I got to do this. I'm like, even though I go, well, fuck it. Like, if it went out at 5:30 p.m., it's probably going to hit the same. Like, 7:30 a.m. is the morning traffic and the evening traffic, right?
Exactly right.
So if on that morning I'm going, no one's going to ring me up going, oh, fuck, I couldn't get out of bed today because I didn't see your meme. Like, I can't remember anyone fucking text me going, where's my Tuesday morning meme, you fucker? Like,
where's your fucking meme, Milvo?
That's right, great. Well, yeah, it's funny. Like, I was doing these weekly videos, right? And I thought, you know, even that was a bit stressful, and I was trying to get them up on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn kept fucking up. You know, it took ages to post. And again, you have this stress of being able to do it. And so I've just gone to now, again, just doing like, you know, a meme, you know, with the Unearthed Man stuff and a bit of a write-up. You know how many people have rung me going, where's your videos? None. No one gives a fuck. Like, I mean, they do. They like to see them. Like, the feedback was good, but they've just gone, oh, I've changed format. Yeah, that's all I've changed, right? So all this other stuff that we said about ourselves is just this ego-driven, you know, worried about what other people are going to see. It's like, you know, if I went a week and didn't put up a meme, no one's even going to ring me to see if I'm alive. Like, like, they're getting on with their own lives. And we, yeah,
how insignificant are we, really? Like, and that's the thing, like, people just, as you said, you put that time frame in your head or that parameter where you're just like, I need to go with a deadline. You need to get this done, right? Sometimes there are things that like I do need to get done for clients, obviously, but for the most part, man, it's not the end of the world, right? Like you change if you don't get a post out. I mean, that's probably something that I'm pretty bad at. Like I'm pretty close to one a day, and it's probably my least favorite job, to be honest, is doing posts. You just got to do it. It's part of the business now, right? It's just part of how the whole thing works. So it's just, but you're right. If you don't get anything up, no one's going to slap you on the wrist and be like, "Come on, mate, where's your post? Why aren't you pulling your weight today?" Like,
correct. Yeah.
And that makes it like it's a blessing and a curse because you go through periods of just not doing shit, because you're your own boss, right? You just like, fuck it. But that it doesn't. The problem with that is it doesn't affect you that week. It affects you 1 month, 2 months, 3 months down the line when you lulled for that 1 week where you get no engagement, no reach, nothing. And you're just like, damn, I really stuffed up that week, didn't I?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Now I know why I got that lull. Yeah. And I think, for you and I, it's slightly different, right? Because, this is what I call my night job. So my day job is a very well paid, very comfortable sort of job. And I love doing that job. And that's something I'm learning to drop into. My view was, I want to move away from, the corporate world and the IT program management. And I want to be this coach and I want to do that sort of stuff. But the more I think about it, it's like, but I really enjoy doing this other job. Like I still get to interact with people, but I can change about how I go about interacting with people. Like I can stop gossiping. I can stop personal attacking. I can stop all these other things. And if other people do it, I can hold them up and say, no, that's not right. Like you don't know that person. Like sure, there's a process that failed, but it really was it the person. So I can impact and affect from a different angle. And I can put out these messages and put out a different thought bubble for different groups. Like I'm involved in two online guys groups, Blokes United and Victorian Brotherhood. Both of them got 30,000 members, right? And so I just post stuff up in there now. And it's like, well, if I'm getting the right message out and the right person hears it, then that's the good thing. It's just doing the right thing. It's providing service. I'm not reliant on an income from it. If eventually that comes, and that's awesome. Whereas I know for yourself and Blaze and Glenn and other guys, this is your gig, right? You have to get stuff out there because you do like to eat.
Yeah, well, that's it. Oh, look, I'm pretty blessed at the moment. I'm back in with the parents ever since COVID sort of hit, so they've been super supportive, and I've been very, very lucky to be able to go back there. So I was supposed to move to Bali in April, funny enough, and then it all sort of happened. Yeah, so I had a rental with a mate from the mines, and he made a decision after 2 years to move in with his girlfriend. So that lease was sort of running out, and I was like, I might as well just take the opportunity to go to Bali and work on myself and the business and whatnot. And I gave up the rental and was ready to fly to Bali, and next minute cancelled the flight and was like, I got nowhere to live. And the parents were like, come on in, mate. And I've been there ever since, so very lucky.
Wrong with that. So is that where the pool is?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, that's not mine. It's not paying that well.
Because for those who haven't seen, so jump on Coach Phil Gerard and get on the Instagram and some different things. And when he talked about the post disappear, you can go back and actually see Phil jumping in most mornings, freezing cold into a pool. I love those ones. Like it was a good discipline because it was, and this isn't Phil just tiptoeing down ladders. He actually runs and jumps in, and this is middle of winter, so we're talking 10, 12 degree water.
Yeah, man, that was cold. I got to 53 days, and then I had a day off, and then I went in one more day after that, and that was it. I'm done. I'm out. So, I don't know why I started doing it, but just a bit of discipline mainly, which I definitely got. There's no doubt about it. But discipline is great if you can, 53 days, excellent, but it's not 365. You know what I mean? So would it be better if I did it once a week for a whole year? Is that going to be a better return? Same amount of time, same amount of efforts in the water. It's 52 days.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But over a whole year. Obviously, it's not going to be as cold in summer, but, where's the real discipline? I've stopped it altogether. So it's interesting how you can look at it. I don't really care either way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm not going back in.
Yeah. So for me, it was when I ran an 8-week program with 3 guys, and as part of that, they signed on to a Vice, and I'm like, you know what? If people keep telling me about this cold shower thing, I'm going to give it a crack. Yep. So I signed on. So after the first week, we set the Vice for the last 7 weeks. I'm like, every day, for the next 7 weeks, it was 49 days. I'm just going to do this cold shower. I just now do it. Like, I finished that program months ago. And so 7 days a week now, I just go and do it. And the reason why I do it, because, my research into the health benefits of, one of the health benefits is having the cold shower, kicking off the metabolism. But that, for me, it's actually about that mental discipline for me around, if I can mentally come over the fact of standing in a cold shower for anywhere between, 2 to 3 minutes, which is most mornings, but every Saturday morning, it's a 5-minute cold shower. So that's it. Basically stand there and just count to 300.
You count pretty quick.
I learned to slow down my counting because, you can count pretty quick. It can, 3 minutes can be 300 very quickly. But no, I try to do that. But for me, it's interesting just on that coping mechanism, that fight and flight coping mechanism. So if I can actually get in there and handle good pain and mentally be able to handle that level of pain when something happens at work or something else pops up, I'm rebuilding this new coping mechanism around, hey, that's painful, but that's pretty cool. It's an okay pain, and you've sort of got the discipline to work your way through it. So I think these exercises that we do are interesting when we look at them.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I find the shower, like a cold shower, is a lot harder than a cold pool, because in a pool, I don't have a nice little tap where I can go, you know what? Fuck it, let's head it up a bit. There's no escape. Like, it's a lot more disciplined. Do you have a hot shower at the end?
No.
No, you straight out. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I start with warm though. I start with warm.
Okay. Oh, that's probably worse, man.
Yeah, so I'll jump in and it'll be warm. So I'll jump in and sort of give a body wash, when it's warm. Yeah. And then just put the hand behind it, just go take a breath and go crank, and it's like 2 seconds, and all of a sudden that cold water goes, oh shit, can't breathe. Fuck. Breathe. Come on, breathe.
Wakes you up.
Yeah, that it's interesting, the mornings where it can take that extra 30 seconds to crank it into cold, and some mornings you go, fuck, I'm just going to crank it in. Like, I just got to go.
Just get it done, mate. The sooner you get it done, the sooner you're out, That's the way to look at it.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing afterwards, because I find afterwards that my body just sort of heats up. Because you have this, and you can see there's redness on the skin, and there's almost a clamminess to the skin because all that blood's rushed to the skin to go, fuck, we gotta warm this thing up and get it going.
Ball sack shrinks too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely so.
I didn't have one when I jumped in the pool, mate. Jesus, it was gone. It was so cold, dude. Wouldn't be doing any nude appearances after that, mate. Like I have been.
Yeah. I did notice you always do it with the board shorts and not the budgies.
Yeah. I used to jump in Bonds. If Bonds want to give me a sponsorship, I'd do it again. But
that's right. Yeah. So speaking of these little things, I am going to take us slightly back. As part of when we were doing King Scott, we were doing these Marco Polos. And so we'll just get in there in video, right? And I'm going to drop Phil on this one. So we're sitting there. Phil jumps in. He goes, guys, have a look at this. And he's just topless, right? Because Phil was always topless, showing off his gorgeous body. And, the man body had. Next thing we fucking see, and he's doing the fucking doodle dance. This thing's flopping around left, right, and center. It's one of the funniest things. Like, when we got back and did what was the highlights at the end, it was Phil jumping on, just going, fucking boys, here it is. We're fully out there.
Well, that was probably, I reckon it was around week 3. So that was when I was in my lull, right? So usually I'm pretty animated and jovial and having a laugh with everyone. And I was tired that night. I remember it. And Glenn sort of like picked up on it and reached out to me on the call and was just like, Phil, what's going on? What's coming up for you? Pretty flat tonight. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty tired. Like, I'm in my head. Wasn't really keen to even jump on and do the Zoom call. And then I was like, okay. And then we were saying our goodbyes, and I was like, you know what? I need to get out of this. Like, how can I do that for myself and just like have a bit of a laugh with the boys, because I didn't really feel like I brought that much that night. So yeah, I just ripped them off and yeah, just had a bit of had a bit of fun, you know. And then yeah, Marco Polo's, it was just an onslaught after that, mate. Like, it just dicks out left, right, and centre.
She went downhill in a big hurry. But the funny thing about that, right, and this is what was interesting. You know, girls, guys, listeners, blokes have dicks, right? Let's just get over there, right? It's got dicks. Like, there's nothing wrong with having them out there. The thing I find now is like in footy clubs and all these different things is like this whole almost shame around the fact of, you know, we can't be out there seeing. I mean, and it could be just, yeah, I'm not saying when I grew up, you never had a choice. In the boys' locker rooms, in the, you know, in the footy clubs, like it was almost weird if you weren't out there, but there was no shame. And it wasn't like blokes looking down going, fuck, mate, there's not much you're going to do with that little thing. Or, yeah, that's like, Blake, you just finished playing football. You're fucked. You're tired. Right? And you're having a shower and you're having a beer and you're just having a chat. And somewhere along the line, it's almost been this shaming of coming in about, you know, I mean, don't run down the street in the middle of a park, right? Don't do that shit. It's like, to be able to talk about the fact it's just a natural part of our anatomy. And for some reason, I feel there's this shame and guilt that people now run over it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always good and bad with it, right? Like you got that dude in the trench coat in the parks at night.
Yeah,
that's not great, right? So it doesn't shine a great light onto it. But look, growing up playing footy all my life, I was very insecure and shy about my body. That's probably why I got into what I got into in my career. But yeah, I always had body image issues and growing up with them. And I'd wear shorts in the shower through my whole juniors, probably pretty common, I'd say, because obviously you share the showers. But yeah, you sort of grow up, and even early seniors, I wouldn't shower. I'd wait till everyone was out and go on and do it. And towards the end of the career, you start to not really give a fuck, you know. It's weird. And I'm working in the mines, man. Funny enough, it's like a prison shower cell there. Like you have to shower after work, right? Because it's all filth. And yeah, it's just like literally all the dudes just strip off and you got a little prison shower. So I was like, well, that's one way to get pretty comfortable with your body. And yeah, you just get in, get out, do your thing. So yeah, it's not super scary, but look, there's a lot of not just men, obviously, like women as well, man. Like this, the people are ashamed of how they look, which is super sad. And it's I've been in some dark places because of it. And like you might look at me and be like, what do you have to worry about? Like you've got it all right, like your body's okay. Like there's nothing crazy about it. But yeah, you just get in your own head and you just freak out thinking that you're not worthy because of how you look. That's the furthest thing from the truth. And if there's been one massive transformation, or the biggest transformation for me in the last 12 months is just that mental transformation, man. Just like what you believe that you can achieve and how much confidence you have within yourself. That's what comes out, and that's how businesses grow, and that's how you grow, is from the inside, not from what you look like on the outside.
Yeah, no, and I love that message. I think that's such a perfect message. I remember talking with Steve Capps, who's, you know, won 2 bodybuilding championships, right? So the man's clearly well built. And I said to him, you know, you turn up to an Unleash the Beast, and there are times where you guys are just walking around in shorts, and you got these, you know, yourself, Steve, these blokes are just fucking built, and you go, you know, from my bad judgment and, you know, my own perception judgment, well, fuck, what's going on with these blokes? Like, they're not short little fat blokes like me. Like, you know, like these guys have got it. Like, they got a body, they're built, they're, you know, they're well toned and everything else. And you just realize that, you know, we all carry stuff, and it's, you know, it doesn't really matter. And I think sort of Preston and I talked a bit about that. Sometimes a lot of guys mask what's really going on internally by smashing it out in the gym. You know, they're like, if I could just get my pecs slightly bigger, if I can get my thighs slightly bigger, fuck, clearly I haven't done calves for about 2 years because I've got these pissy little calves and these massive thighs. Like, all this sort of shit takes place, right? And you look at it and you go, yeah, like we all have, brain just plays these tricks on us all the time.
It's massive, man. Like, don't get me wrong. There's people that are like, I remember talking to Steve in there, and when Preston said that, he brought that up with me, saying, "Look, like that's not where he was at." And I go, "Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't like that." He's very committed and passionate, and he's phenomenal. Look at him; he's like a thoroughbred, right? And he loves it, and he's just not doing it from a place of insecurity. Whereas for me, I'll be completely honest. Like I was doing it because I wanted to feel more confident within myself, and just downright better about myself. And it's not a great place to start, and it's not it's not a bad place to start because at least you're doing something healthy, right?
Yeah.
To an extent, but you're not getting better mentally, and it doesn't last. Like I got into pretty good shape. You saw me in pretty good shape.
Absolutely.
CMB. But throughout this year, man, I've with COVID, man, I got pretty sloppy. I lost it all, and I've clawed it right back now, and I'm getting it back on top of it. But it's at a much healthier mental space. Like I'm not doing it in terms of just I need to have a six pack. I'm just doing it because, well, it's just now it's become a side product of me training hard in the gym and focusing on strength and performance and eating food to fuel my body, right? So you sort of get the benefits from that, and it's a great way to relieve some stress as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. A few years back, I did boxing, and I actually sort of did a fight, and I got dropped. I was like 8 kilos, so I got down to 59.8 kilo. And I can still, when I look at the photos, I still see that small little ring of fat that sits down the very bottom, which is probably loose skin, right? And that's where your mind goes to. Fuck, I can't even get rid of that, even enough to strip it down. And I was, I don't know what body fat percent I was, but there was nothing on me. And it's really funny in that mindset you have. Whereas at the moment, what I'm dropping into is that I'm looking to actually, and as you said, there's all different opinions about foods and everything else, but going into effectively a 30-day, effectively liquid only regime, juices, smoothies, soups, everything else, more around the fact of just realigning myself. But it's coming from a place of love for my every cell and love for my body and love for what I'm actually doing. So it's actually coming from an internal place about, hey, I need to retreat my body right, and I need to retreat. So it's like a bit of a reset, but it's spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental. So, it's actually putting all the right foods into it, but it's sort of more going to be blended up and everything else just to try and give my digestive system a relaxation, so it's not having to break down as much food all the time and everything else. And as I said, I know that you work in the nutrition space and everything else, and there'll be a whole lot of alternative views as to whether that's right or wrong. And we may not go there because I'm sure if I spoke to 30 coaches, I'd get 30 different opinions. But it's on the basis around, it's coming from that place of just wanting to reset my body and reset my mind and reset, where I am. And it's a complete meditation practice. And it's, there's a whole lot of elements that are going into this thing for 30 days, almost to reset and then kick off again. Because same thing for COVID, I've put on 3 or 4 kilos and, you're starting to, the mind's starting to kick in again on that sort of space. So, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you're obviously going into this with 30 days. That's it. It's not going to be something that's sustainable, and that. And that's like, I've got no issues with someone trying to sort of, I guess reset, as you said, for lack of a better word. If that's going to be something that they know, like, that they're not going to be able to do for the rest of their lives to get the result that they want. But ultimately, what I try and coach is that if you can only do something for 30 days and then you go back to old habits, you're just going to put the weight back on, right? So it's like, okay, you're doing it for a completely different reason, but that's the only gripe that I have with those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But again, each to their own. do your own thing, right? Like, and learn from it.
Yeah, and I think, and I agree. So it's not if it was about a weight loss thing, I wouldn't do this. Like, if it was purely about, this is my long-term way of losing weight, I 100% agree with that as an approach, because you're never gonna, as you said, you always get back to a certain weight. Everything is about long-term sustainability, not short-term wins, because we know short-term wins doesn't really get you anywhere. It's and you end up on that emotional merry-go-round, which turns into a mental merry-go-round, and everything goes up and down, and so you never end up on you never end up in having this beautiful balance moving forward, which is where you really need to get to. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely, man. I've been through it all, mate. Like, every diet under the sun, I've probably tried it, just one, out of curiosity, but two, because I was a fucking idiot. Like, thinking that what I was doing was right. And binge eating, was part of the process for me. And all sorts of stuff, man, came up from yo-yo dieting for a long time, and doing these fad diets and trying my hardest to try and get a six-pack that no one even gives a fuck about but you, right? Like, that's the funniest thing about it is that, like, you try so hard to look so good, and whether or not you're at a beach club with a six-pack or not, no one gives a fuck, because they're, one, probably worrying about how they look, or two, having fun, which is what you should be doing in the first place, right? So no matter how you shouldn't be letting your body stop you from doing something that, like, you want to do, because you're not going to have any fun, right? So there'd be so many times in my 20s was like, oh, I can't go on a holiday, or I can't go to the Gold Coast or whatever, because I don't want to take my top off, because I wasn't in shape, like, how sad's that? Like, it's pretty bad how society's like that. Like, if we can sort of just take that away and just enjoy ourselves, life's going to be so much better, right?
Yeah. Look, I love how you just summed that up. I think that's just exactly we put everything ahead of fun, but fuck it, let's just go and have fun. And if we have fun, the rest actually comes along behind it. We get it around the wrong way. If I do this, then I can have fun. I was like, fuck it, how about I just go and have some fun, and then the rest will come in behind it.
That's the thing, man. And what draws people in? Someone with a six-pack or someone having fun? What's, like, you're going to be more drawn to the person having fun, right? Like,
correct.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely spot
on. The way
on.
I do that is usually by acting like a dickhead. So,
or one could argue just being you.
Yeah.
Not saying you're a dickhead, but just being, you know what I mean? Like, like you're labeling yourself, but just being you. Calling yourself dickhead is because that's probably an assessment against what society thinks you're doing. But if that's just you and you're just out there just having fun and just naturally being you, then fucking do it.
It's also another great way to look at it too, isn't it? Yeah, those labels that you put on yourself. I guess, you call it peacocking, and I mean, it's the judgments, right, that you get. So no matter what you do, you're going to get them. So you could sit there and not do anything with a six-pack and get judged. You could sit there and not have a six-pack and get judged. You can have fun with a six-pack and get judged. You can have fun with a gut and get judged. So it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. We live in this society where people are, the first thing they're willing to do is just judge us. And the one thing that I've sort of learned is, like, fucking go for it. Judge me all you want it, because I'm not taking it personal, because it's more a reflection of you, of how you're seeing yourself and how you're seeing it through your eyes. And if you want to get to know me, come and have a chat. But otherwise, that's cool. You can judge me all you want to, but it doesn't affect me anymore.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the biggest things, like, mentally, that you, on the journeys that we've been going on the last 12 months, man, that's what you pick up probably the most. Like, it still happens. Like, I remember going for a walk the other day, and there was a young male, probably early 30s, mid 30s, and he was out the front of the house, like, and he had like a blower back making some noise. And the first thing that popped into my head was, I bet you that's not his house. And, like, where's that coming from? Like, that's me, man. That's like, I don't have a home. I'm in my 30s. Like, I haven't bought a house. So that's like, why have I thrown this at him, like, in my head? because that's what's coming up within me. So when you say something about someone in your mind or to someone else, that's complete reflection of who you are and what's lacking or is what is abundant within you, right?
Yes.
So it's huge what comes up. And when you sort of start doing the work and you can put your finger on some things, you realize, wow, like you can really start making some changes in your life and start to grow.
Yeah. No, I think that's, again, another beautiful message, because what we do is that every time those messages come up, we can actually do one or two things. We can continue the judgment, or we can stop and go, fuck, what is happening in my life at the moment that's resulted in me having this viewpoint, and catch it and then go, ooh, gee, there's some more shit to deal with.
Big time, man. Big time.
There's another week's worth of homework.
Fuck, try a year.
Funny.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy what you say to yourself, right? Like, and you don't get it all. It's like you got to sieve, right? And some gets through, some doesn't, and you're just like, whoa, there's so much work to be done and so much to unpack. And but it's a forever journey, right? It's life.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, as you said before, very early on, it is life, and you can go through it consciously or unconsciously. I prefer to go through it consciously, and slowly unpack the things and just work through, and just continue to just drop into being very comfortable about who I am and why I'm here, and if there's some stuff I've got to work on, then let's just do the work.
I love it.
All right, man. So look, we've taken up the hour, definitely. So it's been an awesome chat. Like most of these chats, I just kick off and go, wonder how long we'll go for. And it's like, well, okay, better close this thing down. Yeah.
It's been fun, man.
It's been good fun. All right. So look, thanks for jumping on. Just before we finish up, jump out, mate, promote what you're doing. Where can people find you? A bit about what you're doing there, and and we can go from there.
Easy done, man. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Coach Philip Gerard. And I actually have a masterclass coming up on the 9th of November. So if you head to philipgerard.com, you'll see in the menu masterclass, click on that and you'll have all the information there for you. It's just a 3-day, 30-minute live Monday to Wednesday in a Facebook group, exclusive Facebook group. So day 1's going to be on flexible dieting. Day 2 is going to be how to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. And day 3, it's going to talk about knowing when to adjust your calories. So if you head to my website, philipgerard.com, you can find that, or you can just go and reach out to me on Instagram at Coach Philip Gerard.
Beautiful. Love it, man. And I'd recommend, jump on and have a chat with Phil, because his approach is exactly what this conversation's all about. He's not, he just comes from a very simplistic, have fun, enjoy life. We'll call you bullshit if you're running bullshit, but in general terms, we'll, support you all the way. And, I've loved just watching Phil, the growth, the journey. He's an amazing man. He's got an amazing background, an amazing story, and I look forward to where his coaching goes over the next few years. And just really privileged to be able to call Phil a friend. So it's been an amazing conversation, man. So thanks for jumping on.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great to watch you grow and get this podcast up and running, and I'm honoured to be a guest, man. 21, a bit butthurt about that. It should have been number 1, but that's the way it goes. Nah, you're all good, mate. I'm not going to get naked for you, though.
No, thank God for that. I know what they say, save the best for last. So,
that's it. Well, this one's going to end your career, mate.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I'll get you back on for the 100th. There you go. That'll be a fucking celebration one. There you go.
I'm in.
All right, man. Look, you have a beautiful day. Thanks for jumping in, and we'll definitely chat soon. Cheers, man.
You too, mate. Cheers.
So that was Coach Phil Gerard. Thanks, Phil. Love that conversation. Thanks for jumping in and joining me. Few laughs along the way through, but as you've picked up, Phil's just a really top-class, genuine guy, and would definitely recommend anyone who wants to learn about their health, nutrition, drop a few kilos, and also get the body, looking good, coming into this summer period. So for those who want to find me, LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram, just search for The Unearthed Man. But that's about it for me. So sending you much love and peace. Have a wonderful day. The Unearthed Man.